Okay, this is Jennifer Pearson from The Dedicated Photographer, and today's discussion is essentially my story. I've had a few subscribers ask for me to tell how I became interested in photography and just a bit of history on myself. So here it is. Let us start with the fact that I grew up in Toronto, went to school, elementary school and high school in Toronto, went to university in London, Ontario at the University of Western, did an honours business degree there, basically was not at all interested in business, probably took the course for the wrong reasons. Having little interest in business, I did not follow the usual track upon finishing. In fact, I went the restaurant waiting tables track, very different than my classmates initially when I graduated, and certainly was on the lookout for something interesting and inspiring to do. I ended up buying this book, which was 25 businesses to start for under $10,000. One of those businesses was personal training. I was always kind of an avid fitness person, fitness buff, so I figured out what was involved in that whole process, and basically for the next 10 years I was a personal trainer. Now I can say certainly as a business it was never, I had moments of inspiration in that, but I always knew that's, I wasn't totally in love with that career. Went back and did a second degree in psychology at Glendon College, which is part of York University in Toronto. I thoroughly loved that process. I think somewhere in there I got married, somewhere maybe during my psychology degree. Then I think I was pregnant with my son upon finishing Glendon, and it was really the birth of my son, like probably 75% of you listening to this, that really sparked my photography. So although I'd always been very avid in photography in terms of a hobby, when my son was born I purchased this Tamron 90mm macro lens and was just meticulous about documenting his whole little existence, and I was part of a prenatal group at the time and became quite interested in photographing their kids, and really the light bulb went off, was like, oh my gosh, this is so fantastic, this is what I want to do. That was followed by a studio lighting course, which I took in Toronto at the time. The group that puts it on is no longer operating, but it was a great course, weekend-long course, a great sort of foundation for studio lighting. I think I held a portfolio building weekend and sort of launched my website probably about a year after my son was born. So he was born in 2003. I would have started it in 2004. And it sort of continued. That was the beginning of really where I am today. That same year I ended up having a second child, a daughter named Lola, and that was the end of kids. After two, we had our hands full, and the business was keeping me very busy. At some point, and I'm thinking it might have been maybe just a couple of years ago, or maybe 3-4 years ago, I'm not totally on my dates here, but I left studio. The studio, by the way, I operated a small studio in my home. I ended up shooting entirely on location, switching gears to do that a few years back, and I've never looked back with regards to that. The sort of constant every year for me is a workshop or a course, and certainly staying on top of my reading in terms of business and sales, marketing, etc. So this year, 2011, I started The Dedicated Photographer, as many of you know, and it's safe to say I easily love that whole process as much as I love running Jennifer Pearson Photography. So that has been a great process. I have some very exciting two sort of big projects coming in at the end of this year, beginning of 2012. So stay posted because those are going to be very exciting. So thanks for listening if you made it this far, and I look forward to future posting and video blogging on The Dedicated Photographer.